Why don't organizations and people who have already achieved success go on to achieve greater levels of it? One of the primary reasons for this phenomenon is related to what Greg McKeown refers to as the clarity paradox, which can be summed up using the following 4 legacy stages that we all progress through as we build our businesses and lead our lives. The first step on the path to achievement is the clarity of our purpose, the why in which we started our business in the first place, our meaning, our just cause, our singular belief. Phase 2 is when we reached a level of success. Other options opened up for us, allowing us to continue to grow in multiple areas. The opportunity to meet more needs with more things, with more products, so we can execute on more opportunities. Phase 3, as we became more meaningful to the broader market with more product categories, resulting in more departmental structure, more managers. Our efforts become more dispersed as a result, and business becomes more fragmented and complex. And in the fourth phase, as a result of our scattered efforts, we find the density of our purpose diluted, resulting in the erosion of the very reason why we started the business and the precision that was once the foundation of our earlier success. Surprisingly, and perhaps I'm exaggerating to make my point, but success is actually a factor that contributes to failure. And today on the podcast, we're going to dive into the clarity paradox to understand how we may have found ourselves in the muddy water. I want to share 3 areas that I try to practice every quarter to reset my clarity and recalibrate my purpose. My name is Sasha, and this is Entrepreneur Insight. Jim Collins investigated this phenomena in his book, How the Powerful Fall, and discovered that one of the primary reasons for these failures was that organizations fell into the uncontrolled quest for more. And an example of the dynamic could not be closer to home for me. When I started Harvest in my 2-car garage in 2004, I had a simple vision for who I wanted to be. And that purpose and clarity I could easily contextualize in my mind. I wanted to be the Mont Blanc of dental lab products. For context, Mont Blanc is a luxury writing pen brand. And I found inspiration in that every pen that they create has a story. Every pen stands for something. And I resonated with that. I wanted every product to have a reason for being. I didn't just want to sell a product. I wanted my products to have meaning. And as I began to grow in the early days, and my customers were looking for other things, I began to offer those to them. The disciplined criteria began to wane, and the next thing I knew, products that had meaning were now in a collection with products that didn't. Products like wire wax spools, casting crucibles, and brass dowel pins. The next thing I knew, I was stuck, without focus, without clarity, and without the purpose for which Harvest existed in the first place. And this awareness brought me back to the purpose and the clarity, but it took me a year to divest those products and the profits from them, to return Harvest back to that disciplined purpose for which meaningful brands are made of. So what can we do to get around the clarity paradox? To capture that crystal clear clarity on where we're going and why we're going there. We need to understand how we can keep a disciplined execution momentum towards our purpose. And so I want to offer 3 possibilities to consider. First, apply more extreme criteria. Consider what happens to the contents of our closets when we apply the overarching question, is there a possibility that I will wear this at some point in the future? What happens? The closet quickly becomes disorganized due to the accumulation of clothing that are rarely worn. If we ask ourselves, do I love this with all of my heart? Then we will be able to get rid of the clutter and make room for something that is more valuable. The same is true for the decisions that we make regarding our businesses. By using more stringent criteria, we are able to access the complex search engine that is our brain. If we conduct a search for a good opportunity, we will find a large number of sites that contain information for us to consider and process. Instead, we have the option of doing a more in-depth search by asking ourselves the following questions. Why do I exist? And what are the things that differentiate me? Or what would my customers miss about me if I were gone? The number of pages available to read will, of course, be greatly minimized to only the opportunities that will move the needle, those few points of contribution that represent our greatest impact. Second, ask yourself, what is essential? And then get rid of everything else. When we give ourselves permission to let go of the things that aren't vital, everything shifts into a different gear. We now have the access code that will allow us to be meaningful to those in the world, both relationally and commercially. And so to get started, try the following. Number 1, conducting a business clarity inventory on your purpose. Every aspect of human society trends towards disorder. Our lives, like our desks, become cluttered as a result of the accumulation of well-meaning ideas from the past. And like our desks, our clarity of purpose becomes cluttered even though we make no conscious effort to make it so. And the majority of these endeavors did not come with a limited time attached to them. After being taken in and absorbed in our lives, they sit in a mental corner. And like debt, they compound complexity as more layers are added on. Determine whatever thoughts, worries, concepts, products that have accumulated from the past. Which ones of those are significant? And then work to implement and grow those. The rest must be thrown away. Number 2, doing away with an existing activity before beginning a brand new one. This straightforward guideline helps us to ensure that we don't add to an endeavor. We don't add to our schedule with something that is lower quality than what we are already engaged in. Be very wary of this thing called the endowment effect, which is the natural inclination we have to place a higher value on something once it is in our possession, regardless of whether it is really that valuable or not. Think about how a book that has been sitting on your shelf for years that you've never opened, all of a sudden seems to be more valuable the moment you consider giving it away. And this is a straightforward example of what we do in our businesses. And once we start offering a product to sell it just because somebody will buy it, one that does not add relevance and dilutes our purpose and brand promise, we become trapped, less willing to part with it because it no doubt brings in revenue and profits. And so instead of asking, how much do I think this opportunity is worth to me? We could question, how much money would I spend for this opportunity if I didn't have it? We shouldn't ask, how much do I value this opportunity? But rather, if I did not have this opportunity, how much would I be ready to give in order to gain it? If being successful is what ultimately leads to failure because it encourages an undisciplined chase of more, then one simple remedy would be to pursue less opportunities with marginal success and exchange that time, that energy, that effort with more opportunities that drive dynamic success. The truth is, to win is to be relevant rather than preferred. And at Harvest, we are always cutting back, honing in, so that we can communicate what we stand for, why we exist, with more clarity to our customers and our employees. Not only getting rid of the things that waste time in an obvious way, but also being willing to pass up opportunities that would seem to make us successful, but dilute the density of that clarity and purpose. It's only when we clearly know our why are we then able to say no to everything else. I trust this was helpful for your entrepreneurial journey. See you next week, and be blessed.